the smell of fresh cookies filled your house and you just couldn't wait to grab one. Cookies aren't just a dessert, they're a memory. They're the best kind of cookies to make are monster cookies because they're not just like ordinary chocolate chip cookies because they're filled with many other ingredients that make them delicious. Today, I'm going to show you how to prep to bake, how to put together the ingredients, and how to perfectly bake monster cookies. So the first thing that you want to do to prep to bake is you want to make sure that your hands are washed and your sleeves are rolled up or you're wearing a short sleeve shirt and your hair is tied back if you have long hair just so that it doesn't get into the cookies. You also want to make sure that you have a nice tidy space to work with. The first ingredient that we're going to be working with is butter. You want to make sure that your butter is already softened so that it can mix easy. If your butter is cold, it was going to leave chunks into the cookies, and so it's wise to just set it out overnight and then it's already softened. I use salted butter. You want a full cup or half a cup of butter, which is 1 whole stick, into your mixer. Next step is you want to add your sugars. Use both brown and white sugar. So you use half a cup of each. Put in both of these. Also, when you make your brown sugar into your cup, you want to make sure that you pack it in. The next step is you want to put down your electric mixer and then you want to lock it. This is important so that it doesn't rattle all over the place, especially if you have an older one like me. Next, you want to start the mixer at a slow speed so that it doesn't go too crazy and so that your ingredients don't fly over the place. That's going to cream together and you want to make sure that it's a good consistency, just like wet sand. You can add it to a faster speed if you want to mix it a little bit faster, but not too fast so that it doesn't rattle all over the place. So sometimes when you're cooking and you're using your mixer, it will get stuck to this handle right here. So what you want to do is you want to have a spoon on hand and just push it down so that it'll go back in and then it'll mix and combine all right. So we're going to mix that just a little bit longer. Alright, and once we have the consistency that we want, we're ready to move on to our next step. So our next step is we're going to crack an egg and add vanilla. You want to be really careful when you're cracking your egg so that you don't get eggshells into your bowl. It's also important that you scrape down the sides of your bowl so that you can get everything evenly distributed. So you're going to open it up and crack your egg. Careful not to get it into the bowl. Next, you're going to add your vanilla. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. It's important to not make sure that you add too much vanilla to not overpower the already pretty powerful flavors of the cookies. Just like so. Now we're going to mix it again. Make sure you lock it first and mix it. This is pretty quick to combine since it's already fairly combined, and so after just a few seconds, it's ready. Now, we're going to go back in and we're going to scrape the sides and scrape this so that it can all be evenly distributed when we mix the dry ingredients in. Make sure to put this on a towel or on a paper towel to make sure that it doesn't get all over your area of work. Next, we're going to go in with our dry ingredients. We're going to start with our flour. We're going to use 1 cup. Flour is another thing that's very important that you add the correct amount. So when I go and I measure it, I scrape it over with a knife to make sure I have the perfect amount so that my cookies aren't too dry. Next, I'm going to go in with 1 cup and 1/4 of oats. The oats add a lot to the cookies because it helps give it the form and the texture that monster cookies have. Our next step is we're going to go in with both baking powder and baking soda. So a lot of baking soda and baking powder have this lid built in to the container so that when you go in, you can scrape it off so you get the perfect amount that you need. And that's really important because if you have too much baking powder or baking soda in your cookies, they might turn out flat or they might turn out too high. It's perfect to make sure that you have the right texture that you want. Now we're going to go in with the baking soda, which also has that lid right here. We're going to add half of a teaspoon to each of them. This one's a little hard to get out. Once we have all the ingredients in, we're going to be mixing it. We're going to make sure that your ingredients get mixed all the way through so that your cookies can be completely combined. Once they're all the way together, we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to be adding in our peanut butter. I pre-measured my peanut butter because it is very hard to scoop it out into a measuring cup. But we're just going to add all of this peanut butter into here. And I like to scoop it on this so that it can go in and not stick to the spoon. This is half a cup of peanut butter. Now we're going to mix that, and of course make sure that we lock it first. This again doesn't take very long to combine since it's already pretty combined. Once we see that the mixture is looking smooth, we're going to go ahead and turn it off. And we're going to start adding in our dry ingredients. And of course we're going to scrape it up first because we don't want any chunks of peanut butter or flour of oats in a single bite. Make sure you scrape the edges just like this. And then again, we're going to set that on paper towel so that it doesn't get all over your area. Next, we're going to add in our dry ingredients. Now, if you add all of them in at once, there's a fair chance that it's just going to blow everywhere and get all over your workspace. So it's important that you only add a few cups at a time. I like to do about a cup at a time, just to keep my area clean and to keep it more organized. Once I've done that, put it down, put it on lock, and we're going to start mixing. You want this at a very low setting because again there's a chance that the flour will go everywhere and you don't want that. This again does not take very long, so once we're looking like this, we're going to take it up, and of course we're going to scrape it down, and then we're going to get ready to add the rest of our mixture. This is another important time that you scrape down the edges because now that there's flour in it, it'll go higher up. And if you have that up there, then there's going to be less flour in your cookies, which will give them a weird texture. We're going to add the rest of our mixture. And get ready to mix. This again is on a low setting so that we don't put it all over the place. So this is the texture that your dough should be looking like. It should be pretty sticky, but it should still be able to form. So we're going to scrape down all the edges and get ready to put in our mix-ins. Now for mix-ins, there's many things that you can add into the cookies. I like to add in peanut butter M&Ms and chocolate chips, but many other people like to put different things in, such as pretzels, marshmallows, and different kinds of M&Ms. So first, I'm going to open these up. And for these, I like to just measure with my heart. There's no right or wrong way to do it. If you like to have more add-ins, put more add-ins. And if you like to have less, then add less. It's just important to know what you want. Now I add in the chocolate chips. All right. And then this is another important step that we make sure our lock is on because, again, it's bouncy because it's old. All right, and just like that, it's already all mixed in. As you can see, it's completely combined, and we're just going to push that down from that, and we're going to get ready to cook our cookies. You set the oven for 350 and then bake them for 11 minutes for the perfectly soft cookies, or if you want them for a little softer, you could do 10 minutes, and if you want them a little harder, you could do 12. Now that you've seen how easy it is to make monster cookies, you understand why they're such an interesting dessert. Monster cookies are everything that is regular cookies have, but more fun and exciting. By getting ready, prepping the ingredients, and perfectly baking the cookies, you can have the most delicious cookies every single time.